really appreciate that. I think, as you touched on, I wish we were doing this in person, but the U of H campus, like so many, is largely shut down right now. Um, Over at the NPR station, where I'm the news director at Houston Public Media, we have got our hands full. A lot of us are working at home, as I am right now. All the reporters are working from home, as many of you are. So it's a whole new world out there. I don't know if you happen to catch the NPR story earlier today about they found a number of different people around the country, people who'd been, say, out on a whitewater rafting trip for the past 2 weeks and just, been out of touch, completely cut off. And yesterday found out, what was going on. So you can only imagine what that must have been like for people that had no idea how the world had changed so much in just a couple of weeks. And what's interesting about this is this afternoon we're going to be talking about energy infrastructure and baseload generation and energy transition. Almost seems like escapism, given what so many of us are facing right now. So who needs Netflix? Well, a few years ago, I was reporting for an NPR project called State Impact. And we did stories like, if we can pull that next slide up, how new transmission lines are bringing more wind power to Texas cities, and how a Houston company could store energy in the ground. Imagine that. And we can switch to the next slide, 2 more there. Let's see if we can go on down. I don't think I have control of it, so you have to switch the slides for me. And to the next one, please. Yeah, this was a good one. How much oil is stored in Houston? And is it harmful to our health? And the answer to that is, depends on where you live, but yes, it actually can be harmful to your health. But you might see a pattern here with the stories that we've been covering over the years. Whether it was wind turbines in Corpus or fracking in the Permian, there was a huge increase in the amount of energy being produced in Texas. But how to move all that energy had become an enormous problem. A problem, but also maybe an opportunity. And that and other related issues is what we'll be talking about this afternoon as we tackle our topic, energy infrastructure, bottleneck or enabler. And to do that, we have a great panel of experts with diverse perspectives that should make for a really lively discussion this afternoon. From them, you may hear about national projects to move wind and solar energy, projects that ultimately failed. We may also hear about new pipeline projects that would have transported oil and natural gas that instead got hung up for so long that over time, some states that initially wanted the projects ended up turning against them. And we may hear about the deregulated Texas energy market. It has lots of challenges. To quote from a post on NRG's website, that was the previous slide there, the grid is not static. Infrastructure is built in one location to ease congestion, but it appears in others as new economic activity springs up or more distributed energy is developed. So it's kind of a whack-a-mole thing. It's really tough to keep up with. Whack-a-mole is my one word, not NRG's. So is the Texas electricity market, ERCOT, up to the challenge? Might it be even an effective approach to climate change? Some on our panel are big fans of ERCOT. Others, not in the least. All right, so let's meet our panel. First, also, let's make mention of this right away. This is how you get your questions in. You can address them to me. You'll have a selection there to myself or to any of the panelists. uh.edu/energy/ask. That is how you can submit your questions, and you can do that anytime. We encourage you to do that as soon as possible. All right, let's meet our panel. First up, Christine Tezak. She is the managing director at Clearview Energy Partners. She leads the company's work on electricity markets, interstate pipelines, energy infrastructure, and federal environmental policy. Drawing upon more than 2 decades of experience in the electric, utility, and natural gas pipeline sectors. Now, prior to joining Clearview, Christine was a senior research analyst at Robert W. Baird & Company and a senior vice president with the Washington Research Group. She has testified before FERC and before Congress. Next up, John Hall. John is Director of Regulatory and Legislative Affairs at the Environmental Defense Fund. John leads EDF's clean energy efforts in Texas, promoting the use of clean energy resources and the electrification of the public and private vehicle fleet. He previously served as Executive Director for the Texas Environmental Research Consortium in Houston. John was also chairman of the Texas Water Commission and the Texas Natural Resource Conservation Commission, which are what is now the TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. And our third panelist, Ed Hers. Ed is the BDO Natural Resources Fellow and a lecturer of economics at the University of Houston. He previously served as the managing director at Hill House Resources, which is an independent E&P company developing onshore conventional oil and gas discoveries here in Texas. You've probably read his opinion pieces in the Houston Chronicle and other major publications. He writes about energy markets and corporate governance. Ed has also founded and co-chairs an annual energy conference at Yale University. All right, let's get going here now. Let's hear from each of you, each of the three panelists, for a few minutes to kind of set things up here. Christy, let's start with you.